All right, y'all, this is an exciting day. I've been working hard on these optimizers and organizers, basically using the bones of what Lucian was able to come up with last year and trying to make some improvements on it. I've been digging through scripts, working on this for a couple of days. I'm going to show off some new features for this year, and then I'm going to ask for a couple of volunteers to test out the product before we get closer to the season and we need it to work correctly. I think I got everything working the way I want it. But of course, if we run into any snags, I want to take care of them before the season starts rather than after. Let's dig in. I'm going to go through the whole process here. Probably skip around a little bit if you are familiar with how most of this works. For people who are prospective new members, or if you just need a refresher, this will give you a heads up on how to do everything. Let's jump in. Now, on your current game week tab, cell Q1 is where you're going to put your username. Now, I will do this for you. You never have to change this, but if something stops working, this is where your username needs to go to update your gallery from the API. So let's go ahead and start his process. We're going to get gallery. It's going to say that authorization is required. I'm going to run through these steps with you. You're going to see your account come up. You just click on it, and then you click advanced when you get to this page. This is basically just telling it that it's an outside script, and you're giving it permission to run in your sheet. So you're going to go all the way down to the bottom of this where it says go to recorded macros. To select all here so it can connect to the scripts, and then you just continue. And then it's going to start running that first script where it gets the gallery. And for So Rare Miami's got a lot of cards. It's going to take a little bit here, and you'll see it kind of populate as it goes. It'll tell you when it's done. So these are all his cards. You can see he's got a ton of cards. If there's anything in yellow on this gallery update page, you got to let me know so I can add those players to my list. Usually it's a name discrepancy that'll cause a problem, but in order for them to populate correctly, the names from So Rare have to match what's going into the sheet. Looks like he's good. Almost 1,000 cards and no yellow. That's a good sign. We are going to update. I'll show you how this works. One change from last year, you're going to have a daily pickup tab and a current game week tab. When you move from the API, it's going to move to both. So you go to update current game week. This is what copies everything over. It's going to clear everything here, and it's going to rewrite it. See projections populated for all the players that have a projection right now. But we'll figure all this out before the season starts, and all this should populate for you. If you do notice someone doesn't have a projection who you think should, you can ask me, and I will look into it, and we'll get all that figured out before the season starts. But anyway, let's show you how a couple things work. So when we imported, those went both to the daily pickup and to the current game week tab. That's because you can build as many lineups as you want for Arena. You get one daily pickup for each scarcity. So you'll probably want to take part in that, as there are no in-season requirements for that one. Just win you some free essence. So first thing I always do, it all comes in jumbled. So we want to sort. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to build some Challenger lineups because we don't have any in-season cards yet. Challenger lineups use MVP plus 140. So I have a couple sorts built in now. You can sort by Arena, which would basically just take the projection without the XP bonus. You can sort by MVP, which just puts your highest projection at the top. And you can sort by daily pickup, which will sort this sheet by best projection, because there's an MVP on that one as well. So let's do an MVP sort. It's going to sort both sheets. And we're going to be in our current game week because we want full game week projections, not just the daily projections. Half your players aren't going to have a projection on the daily, but they'll all be there in the game week. And when you sort, you'll see it goes by scarcity, then top current game week projection, super rare, then limited, and then common at the bottom if you have any. Looks like he hasn't grabbed any commons yet. Probably not interested. He's got enough going on with 3 different scarcities of cards. Next thing we want to do is pre-filter our players. And so you're going to run this script. It's going to ask you which scarcity you want to pre-filter for. So we'll start with the super rare. Super rare and unique are one scarcity now as far as the competitions go. These will come checked now. You don't have to check these every time. If you want to uncheck them, you can, but the default is going to be to have them checked because we almost always have them checked. Apply the filters. And it'll say successful, and what you're going to see here is the word eligible pop up in the end column here. And it's going to give you your top 80 eligible cards if you have up to that many, and he does. He's got at least 80 super rares, and it's making the top 80 values eligible. So the value column is column K. That's your current game week high-end projection minus their current L10 score. That's how we calculate value here. And so what it's telling him is his Giannis is his top play right now. high-end estimate on Giannis, 79.59. So if you wanted to make Giannis your MVP, you can type the word mandatory here. And what that'll do is it will reduce the number of combinations that the script has to take into account, so it'll make everything go much faster. You know you're going to get Giannis anyway because it's going to give you your top projected player as your MVP. So by typing that word mandatory here, it's going to just speed up your process quite a bit. So we've got our eligible player pool. We've got Giannis as our MVP. Optimize. And when you click this optimize button, you're going to get another pop-up. It's going to ask you which competition you want to try. Now you can't do a champion without any in-season cards. He doesn't have any in-season cards yet. Can't do a contender without any in-season cards because you need at least 4. Challenger doesn't require any. And it says it completed successfully. We close this window. We go over to our suggested lineups tab. And here are his top 3 lineups according to my sheet. Now, of course, these are generic numbers because we're not close enough to know actual minutes projections. Those will change as we get closer to the season. But this will give you an idea what your top-end figure might be for some of your lineups. And, of course, there are outliers to both sides. There are outliers above the normal range and below. We look at the top end of the normal range when we're using our projections, and we'll get a total of 336.25. He can decide whether he thinks that's good enough to be competitive. Looking at the lineup here, I think it is. Let's say he wants to use this lineup. We can click this. These are buttons. I know they don't look like buttons. They're just words. But these yellow words, mark as used, mark combo 2, mark combo 3. If he liked one of these better, he could click here. But let's say he used the first one. We're going to click it. It's going to run a script, and it's basically going to tell you that it's marked the daily pickup and the current game week. And when you go back over here, you'll see these marked as challenger. And so what does that do? When you run another filter, let's say you wanted to do a second one. So we pre-filter again for super rare unique. And what you'll see now is the eligibility go away from everything that has something in that column M. So if they're already in a lineup, they won't be eligible for next run. So Giannis no longer eligible. Donovan Mitchell becomes his top remaining play as far as a projection goes. So if you wanted to run a second challenger lineup, Mitchell would be your MVP. So let's go ahead and mark him as mandatory, and we'll see what we get. Back to optimize, comes up, we choose challenger, optimize, says it's completed. Go take a look at our lineups. Mitchell, Quickly, Barnes, Hero, Bridges comes out to 136 with a 308 projection. Well, Hero's not going to play. He's hurt, so we're not going to use that one, right? Hero's also in the third one. Obviously, when we get the injury reports up, those guys will just automatically be excluded. They won't have projections. But for now, combo 2 doesn't have Hero and is very similar. So let's say you wanted to use that one. You'd click right here on Mark Combo 2, pop up a little toast thing here that tells you it's done. And we go back and look. Now you'll see those players marked. And so as you build, you'll be checking off players. Let's say you get done building your game week lineups and you want to do some dailies. Well, on your daily page, those players are marked over here too. So you know you can't use them twice. So your daily is a 120 plus MVP. Bam Adebayo becomes your highest rated remaining player for a daily competition because not everybody's playing. Let's say we wanted to build a daily after we built all our game week lineups. Pre-filter, still on the super rare and unique, except we're on a different page. So on this page, it'll bring up my top super rare and uniques. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to make BAM mandatory. I'm going to go back and optimize. And for this, it's going to be a daily pickup. Close the window, suggested lineups. So he got up to 115 here. Of course, this has Hero. The first one that does not have Hero here is Ja. Ja's going to be out too. So this will change, but let's say that all these players were healthy. We would mark combo 3. Let's try that. In the script, you'll see the toast pop up here in the bottom. We'll mark it on both sheets so you know where your players are being used. Now, let's say you have a new week. You've updated your API, and you got all your new cards in, your XP's updated, all that stuff. You want to clear this assigned column because you're starting fresh. So you can go to lineups. You can clear all assigned. It'll make sure you want to do it. Remove all markings, and you'll see that whole column clear. You can start over. Last thing to show you here, we're going to sort by arena. So this just doesn't take into account any of the XP your card has because arena competitions don't use XP. They're just supposed to be more strategy based and instead just use the base projections before the XP. So when we sort by arena, won't move around too much, but you'll see a little bit of shifting depending on where your XP falls. And again, we can filter. We just ask it to filter a scarcity. For this, I'm going to do his rare. All right, so you saw the eligibles go away from his super rare. If we move down to his rare, you're going to see eligibles by his top 80 values. Still no in-seasons here. Looks like he hasn't started buying yet for this season. I don't blame him. Prices are high to start the year. So let's say he wanted to do an arena. Gain some more of that essence in the first week of the regular season. Now there's an uncapped mode. We've got everything eligible. Uncapped, obviously, you can just take your best 5. There's Arena 140, which is 140 cap, no MVP. And there's also Arena 75, which is like your underdog from last year, also no MVP. Right now, the arenas are just game weeks, but I believe we're going to get daily arenas at some point during the season. We'll have to edit how the optimizer works when that happens, but that shouldn't be too big a deal. If you're playing Arena Uncapped, you're just taking your best 5, throwing them in the same lineup. If you're taking the 140, it's kind of like a contender. So let's try one of those. So you're not going to make anybody mandatory when you're doing an Arena 140 because you don't have that MVP. You basically just want as much value as you can under that 140 cap. Pretty quick. All right. And these are your 3 highest ranking lineups based on my projections. You can get up over 260. That's an excellent one for 140 cap. And again, we've got Hero in these. He's not going to play. So I would say his best one for week 1 looks like it would be this third one here with Gobert, Turner, Kevin Porter Jr., Barnes, and Bridges. So let's say we use that one. So now if we go back down to his rares, you'll see his 140s that he just used in that arena marked as Arena 140s. All right, so there's a basic overview. I'm going to ask a couple of you to help me test this out and tell me what issues you're having, and we'll get as much of it resolved as we can. We'll get you all working, functional organizers, optimizers before the season starts. We'll try to make this process as streamlined and efficient as we can for you. I know Google can be slow. I'll, of course, update everything every day like I always do on my main sheet. All right, well, I appreciate you watching. If this is something you need in your life, which if you're still watching at this point in the video, you probably do, pretty affordable option for you. You can join us at patreon.com/SoRareEdge. You can join the Patreon for free if you want the premium service. That gets you this optimizer organizer and access to my main sheet and our Discord just for members. So come join us. Pick the tier you want to join. Free, basic, or premium. I'll get in contact with you and get you hooked up. Gonna have a great year. All right, thanks for watching.